It's a pleasure for me to be here to close this session. First of all, I want to start by congratulating the 25 winners of the SL25. And as was mentioned already before, they add 25 case studies to the 75 we had already before. And I invite you to go to our website, because you find there the documentation about winners of last year's and the winners of this year. And for my academic colleagues in this room, they're wonderful case studies that you can use in your teaching. I also want to thank the organization for this day, but also our sponsors, who are gold and silver sponsor, who have been able to, or have enabled us to create this event today, in particular RGE and GRIM, who have helped us here today. As a chairman, I can say I'm a happy person. This was all the topic of today, happiness and compassion. I do have compassion, but I am a happy person because this was a successful morning. And you always come in with a bit of trepidation when you organize an event like this, and like, will it work? Will people show up? Etc., etc. I'm happy to see all of you here, so that gives me already a good start to talk about steward leadership. But I wrote down a few comments about what I heard here today. This is no attempt to a summary. I'm not good enough at that I mean, ChatGPT would be much better to do a quick summary of what we did today. But it's sort of the things that struck me, that I sort of in a very idiosyncratic way have written down for me. First of all, it was interesting to listen to what people say about what stewardship is. And of course, we have the definition that we as Stewardship Asia Centre use to create that better collective future. And Rajiv mentioned that and mentioned that several times. But I was also struck by what Dr. Ling said, is stewardship is a better word because it's more than sustainability, it's more than good governance, it's all that together, but with a sort of an element of authenticity to it. And I think that is important for me, that stewardship is indeed about creating that collective future, but with an element of authenticity in the way we do it. And by the way, the question about greenwashing or AI washing was really sort of asking that question about how important is that authenticity. And also Mr. Bay, when he was talking about what RGE is doing, it struck me that with the 5 C's, it's only the 5th one that is the company, but that community, country, and whatever come before that, and that success for an organization like RGE is actually a consequence of the 4 C's that come before that. So, and in a sense, when I was listening to Ivy this morning, when she was talking about her experience in Singhealth, when she was saying, really, stewardship is about service. It's about helping people, but also designing the healthcare system of tomorrow. So it was interesting to see some of these different elements of what stewardship is all about. And when I look at that, it's more than sustainability, it's authenticity. The success of a company comes from 4 other C's, or it's service and designing a healthcare system for tomorrow. It is really about leadership. It's not about governance and compliance, as Rajiv mentioned this morning, but it is about leadership. But it struck me that when we talked about leadership today, that the word action was very central. Mr. Bay talked about it's better done than better said. We prefer it to do it rather than to talk about it. Dasho talked about leadership is about action, not about a position in society. And Ivy was talking about, in her 4 points about what you have to do to implement, about the 4th point was about precise plans and disciplined execution. So this element of action, of doing things, seems to be very important in the type of steward leadership that we are talking about. I was also struck by the fact that Dasho was talking about the fact that we are actually in a flourishing society where there is an enormous amount of opportunities to be pursued. Yeah, I've been going to a number of conferences over the last 3-4 months, and everywhere I hear the same complaints about geopolitics that are not doing what it is, trade problems, AI that is going to threaten jobs. And it all sounds a little bit negative about our current situation. I found today that there was a bit of positive news. There is hope. We can actually do things. And by the way, of course, Rajiv sold very well our Stewardship Commons, and we can do that by utilizing it. But I actually was very encouraged by the fact that actually we're living in a time where we can grasp opportunities, that we have a choice of what we want to do. And not everybody will make the choice for to be a steward leader. But I always think if only 20% of us, and of course everybody in this room, but the 80% are outside this room, but if only 20% of us pursues that idea of being a good steward leader, I'm convinced society will change. We don't have to have everybody signing up. We have to have a sufficient critical mass to do that. In order to do that, we can ask ourselves what that action is. And then I wrote down a few things like what Harold Mr. Link said was, make a commitment, think about your purpose, and listen to the common wisdom of your organization. Or Ivy said, have a clear vision, invest in partnerships, think about the ecosystem in which you operate, and ensure that you bring on board your partners, that you work together with your partners. An unwavering compassion is absolutely needed. And then, as I already mentioned, precise plans and disciplined execution. And then I have, of course, as I always do, the few short lines, strap lines that come out of a conference like this. First of all, I was actually reminded of something I've heard before, but that Mandela said, I never fail, I only learn. And I think that's a very important one. Yes, we will try out new ideas. We will embark on new projects. And while I'm sure that we chose the right SL25 projects, of the 100 that we have, I'm sure that some will do better than others. But that's not that important. The importance is when things don't go the way we like them to go, how quickly are we in learning from them? And how quickly are we in sharing that learning through perhaps a platform like Stewardship Commons? How quickly are we in sharing the learnings from that so that others can avoid to make the same mistakes? The second one is when Sean was talking about the 3 areas that he is looking at for the future, that third question of, are there questions we are still scared of? I think that is an important statement, Sean. Thank you for that. Because if we don't have questions that we're scared of, there's probably something wrong. If we don't have questions that scare us, we probably are not willing to take the risks that we need to take to enhance and improve steward leadership. And of course, the third one is that everybody was charmed by the idea of the dishwasher meditation. I do have a problem. I have a dishwashing machine. You must help me to figure out whether I have now to stare at that dishwashing machine or give it up, throw it away, and start doing my dishes myself. I'm not going to go there. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the cause of steward leadership. We can actually make a difference in society. It's not because some forces around us in this world are going in a different direction, that we need to change our directions. We need perhaps to adjust. We need to educate more. We need to convince people. We need to be, steward leaders, because it's important that we preserve the resources of today for the generations of tomorrow. Thank you for being here, and I look forward to see you next year.